Good morning, this is Rachel, also known as Ditsy Diamond Painter, and I'm coming with a bit of a WIP and waffle and thank you and another story of a wicked woman who actually might be a little bit nasty, to be fair, from what I can find out. She hasn't got a great reputation, let's put it that way. So yeah, it feels like for ages I've had a headache and migraine all this week. Well, I feel a bit better today. So I've got a very sweet cup of tea. I put too many sweet. I think I forgot that I'd put sweeteners in and put them in again by the taste of it. I will be using, so actually this is End of the Rainbow from Dreamer Designs, and I love doing it, but like I said, I've had a headache, so confetti is not the way to go when you've got a headache. So I've not done as much as I thought I'd get done this week, along with adulting and all the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, the drills are lovely on it, really are. So my tray is, I just love how you hold that one. I really find it comfortable to use. I could do with a couple more actually. I think it's had more zest now. And then I've got my oil slick pen from, let's see if I can find the card in the drawer. Yeah, C'est Plus from there. So I don't butcher that. And then the wax is from KC Diamonds Australia. It's an Australian, but I love this wax. This is still the same wax in this end, in my single placer, that I used on my fairy house. And then it's just I might change that out actually, as you can see. My end's going a bit misplaced now, my multi-placer. And when that happens, you have to start changing your drill. So all I do to change my wax out, get a bit of a, doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to have to change it soon, because when it starts getting that misshapen, I've just got something with a bit of colour on. It kind of doesn't seem to work properly. And then I get my wax, pop it on there, can you see it on there? And just whack it in. I don't even know what, I think this might be Dreamer Design wax actually. Whack it in there, and then I've got my tin, which I was keeping my waxing, but I've decided to put, oh, sugar. So you know not to do that now, people. Decided to put my dodgy drills in. So there we go, and let's go from there. What colour am I going to start? So I am working on this patch up here. So I've done all of this, and then up to here, then round and down. So then I've got to do this part here up to right where you can see actually at the end of the screen, and then I've got to turn it round. Oh, I've just knocked drill from somewhere. Never not that far. Don't know. Don't go in there. So the colour I'm going to do it's going to be really hard as well because this is really confetti. We'll go with 550 because it doesn't have a bit of 550. So I have found a couple of nothing that makes it hard to do, but yeah, let's just pull them out. Three is 2. Six is 5. Now I could have changed it since I brought this, but and 7 is 6. Now when it's like, see, 2 is 21. I'm not going to get confused with that. But when 6 is 5, yeah. So that's my pet peeve at the minute. But by that, it's been fine. It's been absolutely fine. I can easily see the drill field. It's, the drills are lovely to work with. So yeah, I am enjoying. Like I said, I've just had a really bad either headache or migraine, but that's what happens this time of the month for me, I'm afraid. So I haven't done as much as I wanted to, and then of course I've had to do adulting, you know, with the kids and nourish them and all the rest of it. So what's been going on with my week? Actually no, the kids are doing well. Max is loving his teacher that he's got back. He was hating school before, but now he's loving it again. Now his actual teacher's back off sick. It's amazing what a positive teacher can do to a child's attitude towards school. Because Max loves school, well he does again now, but last term he hated it. He had a substitute teacher in, and all she did was shout apparently, and Max does not react well to shouting. He hates being shouted at. It's very rare that he's in trouble anyway, so, and we don't tend to shout even when he's in trouble. So it was a kind of, and then he was saying that if one child was being misbehaving, then they were all getting punishments put on them, and yeah, he generally hated it. But he's loving school. He's come back out smiling, talking about what he's been doing in his lessons, and he loves it. So that's good. Mikey's doing really well at school. So that's been a lovely, he's really knuckled down. He's been getting reward, you know, acknowledgement postcards, and he's now form captain, and he seems to be doing really well. I'm so pleased. Because Mikey's one that just floats through. He's a bit like a Neil out the young ones. That's what we call him. You know, he's doing really, really well. So that's been nice and positive. Nicholas has had some relationship issues this week. He's broke up with his girlfriend. They haven't been going out longer or anything, but for Nicholas it's the end of the world. He's very bitter about it. She's going out with one of his friends now, so he doesn't know how to he can't deal with the emotional. He's really struggling. But I don't know what to say to him, you know. He's 17 and he's quite controlling and quite dominating, if that makes sense. So, I don't know what the answer is to that. So he's dealing with that, but he's got his Xbox back Friday, so he's a bit happier, I think. And then I had a visit from my oldest on Monday. Andrew came to see me for a couple of hours. He'd gone to a party. I think I mentioned he might be coming down. He'd gone for a party in Birmingham Sunday, and he popped in. He looked rough. He looked proper hanging. He was standing up with his eyes closed. He was so rough. I really didn't think he was going to come, because normally if he says he's going to come after a party, he doesn't turn up, but he did. So it was lovely to have some big cuddles off my biggest baby. It's weird because, you know, I still see him as this little boy that loved to dance on the dining table, and he's not. He's this grown man, and I mean he's 23 this Christmas, so he's a grown man. But there's, you know, that's what happens with life. They're all growing up, so. But it was good that he come to see his mama. And then that was, yeah, so like I say, that made, so even though I've been feeling rough, I've had a kind of good week, really positive. It's been really positive. It's just I felt like shit through it. And then yesterday I reached 100 subscribers. For all of you that have subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. Yeah, I never even thought I get shocked every time I get a subscriber, to be honest, because I rattle on. I'm not organised. I'm not the greatest. I don't really edit videos. I don't even, though I really want to try, but this week was not the week to do it, I'm afraid. Like I said, I haven't done as much diamond painting as I wanted or anything this week. So yeah, and for those that have commented on videos, again, thank you so much. I do love getting comments. I had a comment actually off Diamond Art Studios about the gingerbread house as well, so that was really nice. And just people saying they've enjoyed the videos, that's really nice to hear as well. So yeah, 100 subscribers. I don't know how I've done it, to be honest. It's just nice to know that people like to listen to me rattling on about diamond painting, really. And life in general, and all of that. It's ever so weird, because you kind of do it just so you can speak about what you love, and then you get like 10 subscribers, and I think my first 10 subscribers were friends and family, to be quite honest. And I was chuffed with that, because it meant that some friends and family, were watching, or I don't think they were watching, they just subscribed, supporting me in that way. and then you get 20 and you think, oh, there's a couple of people that maybe I don't know that are listening to me, and then I kind of got to 50 and I was just, that's it, you know, I'm not going to get any further with that, and now it's getting up to, it was 100 last time I looked, and that's just blew me away, really has. So thank you very much for supporting my channel, and like I say, just I love the comments, and I'm not so keen on the spam that keeps coming up. How do they know when you put videos up? Oh, that is sweet, that too. So let's find another colour, and I'm going to go with, I want one that I'm not going to, oh, there's so many colours. We'll start from that side there. So we'll go with 934. Now these stickers are actually a little bit big for these containers, so I had to cut them right down on the sides, but they work. And that's what matters. So today, the wicked woman of the day, of the week, is someone that called herself Lola Montez. She's a very pretty lady, and she was really cool. Right, these are my notes, everybody. These are just notes. Elisa Rosanna Gilbert, and she was born on the 17th of February 1821 in Grange, County Sligo, Ireland. Now she said that she was born, the book said Limerick. I found out that she wasn't born. She said she was born in Limerick in 1818, so she made herself older. So I'm wondering if that was so she could do things that she wouldn't have been able to do if she was them couple of years younger. Do you get what I mean? You'll get what I mean afterwards. So she says, and it's actually on her gravestone, that she was born in Limerick. She wasn't. And her father was a British officer, and her mother was a wealthy politician's daughter, and she actually lived in this big massive house. I've seen a picture, castle. It was called actually Castle Oliver in Limerick. So she didn't come from a poor background, should we say. Her mum was only a teenager herself when she got married. I think his name was Edward, the dad. I don't know why, but I've not wrote that down. I can't find where I would have wrote that. And her dad was in the army and got sent to Calcutta in India. So they all travelled to India, which wasn't a quick journey by any means. And her dad died of cholera few months after then they get to India. So she was only a couple of years old at the time. So she went to Calcutta she left for Calcutta on the 14th of March 1823. So she would have been 2. Just one moment. And I'm back. Ugh. Excuse me. I'm still in my pyjamas. It's Sunday. Max has just come down for his breakfast, so, and I'm in the dining room. So it means that, yeah, you don't want to hear Max munching on his cereal and slurping on his milk while I'm waffling on. So where was I? Yeah, so Dad died a couple of months later of cholera. We're on about Lola Montez, and her mum was only 19 at the time. But apparently because of her money and and her, you know, what her husband left her in his will, they'd lived a pretty decent life. But she didn't wait that long anyway, because she ended up marrying a Scottish Captain Craigie. While she was still in India, this is her mum, and her mum's name was Elisa as well. And he liked, we'll call her Lola because her mum's name's Elisa, even though her name was Elisa at this time. But she was a bit feral, by all accounts. She was a bit wild and she'd got quite a spoilt attitude about her. So she ends up being sent back to the UK, to Monroe. Was it Monroe? Montrose. For her education with his family, and yeah, she was still she was very bad tempered. So she was only young when, you know, this happened. She liked to do so in church she put flowers in the wig of a man's hair, and she ran down the street naked once, and she's only little at this time. She's not she was also classed as strange because, you know, she's been brought up in Calcutta in India, and things were different over there to what, you know, how she was brought up. So, you know, she struggled with that side of things, but she kind of liked the limelight as well also, what was said. Anyway, I think she gets a bit too hard to manage and is sent to, let me have a look, Sunderland, to a boarding school, which is her aunt and uncle on her it's like her stepfather's sister and brother or something like that. But she only lasts there a year. Now I couldn't find why exactly, but she didn't she wasn't well behaved or anything like that. I think nowadays if she was brought up in these, she would have some kind of you know, ADHD or autism or, you know, something along them lines. She had some kind of difficulties anyway. But back in them days, it was just you know, you were just given the belt kind of thing, or the slipper, or the cane, or I don't think she was too. She, even as a child, she wasn't pleasant apparently, and that comes up again and again. It's something I looked into because this book is really one-sided. It doesn't tell you the more of the facts, if that makes sense. Now, so she then gets sent after a year to a boarding school in Bath, and they are hoping that this brings out her more ladylike side of things, so she can marry into gentry, basically, to make her marriage material. Basically, that's what it is. And I can't find much on how she was there or anything, but at the age of 14 it's not going well because her mum tries to marry her off to a 64-year-old judge of the Supreme Court in India, and well, she's not having any of it. So obviously they're waiting for her education to finish. At the age of 16 in 1837, she ran off to Ireland and married someone in the army called Thomas James, and she did that just to piss her mum off, basically. From what I can make out, it wasn't a marriage of love or anything like that. And sorry, I'm dropping things on the floor. What have I dropped? Oh, I don't even know where that's come from. Where has that come from? Oh, I've been looking for that as well. So yeah, so she runs off with Thomas James, and ends up going back to India. Now, the book says her mother disowned her at this point for, you know, marrying someone that wasn't this judge. But I don't know, because her mother does disown her, but not till later on, as far as I can find out, looking for things through myself. And she's married to Thomas James for 5 years. And by all accounts, it's not a great marriage. It's I think it's a bit. He had lots of affairs, and I think, quite frankly, she probably did as well. It doesn't say that, but from watching as life goes on, you know, that's the kind of girl she was. So that takes her up to 21, doesn't it? So she ends up separating. So if she gets divorced, he cheats on her. She decides to go back to England. This is what I can make out from, because everywhere I looked, it's a slightly different story. There's nothing that kind of verifies perfectly. So she goes to move to England, and her mother disowns her because she's getting divorced. I think that's what it is. No, because she's leaving her husband. Sorry, but it is really confusing. Honestly, it's so confusing. she has a fling with a man on the train going back to England. This is what is said, and Thomas finds out about it and they get divorced. But apparently there's an agreement made where they will, neither of them will marry again. It's like a legal document, so she has to stay a spinster then for the rest of her life. Now that's really important, you must remember that. And which I think is really weird. So basically, he was cheating on her, she leaves him, sleeps with someone else, and he gets divorced but makes her a spinster so no one else can have it. I don't get it. She agreed to it anyway, so I don't know the laws on divorce or anything at this time, because this would be what? ...5 years after when? Trying to find actual dates as well, I found really hard. 37, so this is 42, 1842. So she then gets, now the book says that she went to Spain and got taught by a professional dancer, Spanish dancer, but then others are saying she learnt in England, so I don't know, but I know she didn't go back to stay with the Craigies, and that's for definite, because she's decided she wants to become a dancer. Now she does actually get shows, she gets on some shows because she's extremely pretty, and that seems to be a very big thing of the time, because, you know, Cora Pearl was, and she reinvents herself as Spanish. I don't even think she can speak any Spanish, but that's what she does. And as a Spanish dancer, and she does something called the spider dance, where she lifts, so she acts like there's a spider running on her or something. Again. So when she first starts performing in England, yeah, it's not received. She's not very good. She's got no rhythm. She's allowed on stage for her beauty, basically. She's not a very good dancer at all, and considering, you know, she made a lifetime job of it. So she was booed off stage, so she's decided that she's going to go back to Europe, onto the continent, and she's going to see what she can do there. And she gets on a bit better there, even though she's not very good. She kind of becomes known as a courtesan, basically. So she's sleeping with men for favours. We'll call them favours. And I mean, she went out with Franz Liszt and the bloke who wrote The Three Musketeers. She's a popular old girl, but again, she was not a nice woman. She was known for having a really nasty temper, and she was quite scary apparently. So, but her mum sounds like a bit of a cold fish. So I'm wondering if her mum was the same, to be honest. But she slept with men to get what she wanted, and she was quite violent as well. So Franz Liszt left her by just sneaking out while she was asleep in the hotel room, and then apparently he left money downstairs in the with the hotel people, because he knew she was going to smash the room up, and she found out he'd gone. Yeah, she never had what you call, bar one, I think, she didn't seem to love a lot. She just seemed to use a lot and got very violent when things didn't go her way. And then and remember, she is still married. So then she eventually meets in 1845, she meets a man, Dugerier. Who knows? It's the only thing. It's all in foreign, and I don't know how to pronounce. So she meets a man, and she seems to really, he's an editor for something, and she seems to really, really like him. And he ends up having an argument with another man called Bavalion, and he calls him out for a duel. Now, apparently, Lola offered to do the duel for him because he had no wares about him with a gun, and she did. So, but he refused. He was going to fight for his honour or whatnot and get shot dead in the heart. Apparently, there was a murder investigation and everything. So she went to court. Apparently, she was devastated. That people say that he was her one true love, but I don't know if it was just because she never got a chance for it to get to that point where she got sick of him, if that makes sense. So he dies. She does the whole court appearance, dressing in black with a veil and blah de blah de blah. I don't know what happened in that court case, actually. I should have investigated that. But it was a duel anyway, and he dies in a duel. And, she was saying that she had a better chance of killing this other bloke than he did. And she then goes to Bavaria, and she meets King Ludwig I of Bavaria. So is Bavaria Germany? So, anyways, he is besotted with her. Now, she does a performance and gets kind of booed off the stage, basically, and the people that run the theatre say she's not good enough, so she can't. So she actually gets King Ludwig to make them let her dance on stage. Now, apparently, when he first met her, he asked if her bosoms were real or kind of made to look that way, so she cut her corset off so she could show her boobs. How true that is, I don't know. He loved it. And he goes to see her perform 3 days in a row or something he ends up, she becomes his mistress. Now the Queen at the time didn't think anything of it, because he was known for his what would you call it, dalliances. But Lola really got, and people say he still thought she was Spanish. She never told him that she wasn't Spanish, because he loved the Spanish and he loved women, apparently. So she was very much a liberal, and at the time Ludwig's parliament seemed to be a lot of Catholic and Jesuit, and she was very anti-Jesuit. She was more Protestant than, well, Ireland, so it was either one or the other really then, wasn't it, really, from what I can make out. And she kind of reformed, because they resigned and things, and it was called Lola's ministry. She had that much power over the king in what he was doing that, yeah, it's so fascinating. So, but I did think about looking more into it. I did start, but I thought, do you know what, again, it's a whole other hour, isn't it, really? So she's got, there seems to have been a bit of rebellion in the air anyway, I think, with and she thinks she did have the support of a lot of people, because she, you know, she was liberal basically, and she made the king realise that while he's spending all his money on ridiculous things, even though he was spending them on her, she enjoyed that bit, you know, that these people needed things done and whatnot. This is from what I can make out, from the little bits I've read. But she didn't have the support of the students and the educators. So there was a Jesuit professor, and he sorry, just getting that in there. He didn't like her, and made it perfectly clear, I think, that he didn't like her, and she got him fired, which upset the students from the university, which made them kind of protest. So rather than try and reason and discuss, she says, well, I'll just have the university shut. Now, no one thinks that that will happen, but to keep her happy, the king closes down the university. Well, this caused riots. This caused bad riots. And it was kind of a case of he then kind of was forced then to expel Lola from the country. But I mean, he'd give her there was a big argument, because he gave her and he called her the Countess of Lansfield and Baroness Rosenthal. That's what he gave her titles, and again that caused a big uproar because you have to be of the bloodline to get the title. So he just gave her something. I mean, she must have been brilliant in the sack. That's all I can say. And then it all fall in for being led by his tackle. And but when she was dancing, if people, she got a horse whip, and she would whip people that didn't agree with her in the face. I mean, she wasn't nice. She was not a nice. I watched one video. Oh, I missed two there. I watched one video, and they were kind of, yeah, she was a liberal, she was all of this. They really praised her up. But then after that, all I could find was, you know, how she would hit people, and, you know, she would be really physically violent with them. And like I said, I think she had mental. There was definitely something not right. And then he expelled Lola, King Ludwig, and then he was asked to abdicate for his son. So he lost his throne because of this woman. And he kind of, but I've been looking up, because this wasn't in the book either. He kind of paid her a pension for a long time after she left, and he wrote to her when she was, you know, older, and I think they kept in contact. So she's kicked out, and she goes back to England, and she married a George Heald, but then she gets arrested for bigamy, because when she got divorced, she signed a contract to say that she wouldn't marry anyone else. So George Heald had family inheritance, and he absolutely adored Lola, and she's actually arrested because the family looks into her, and she gets arrested for bigamy. He pays her bail, and while no one's like monitoring, they escape the country, and I think they go to Spain. They go back to Europe anyway. And again, it's not a good setup, I don't think. But again, a very violent relationship, and on her part, by the sounds of it. Now, he apparently, no one knows what. Some say he just disappeared, but they'd already split up by this stage. But from what I read in the book, they had 2 children, and she left him and the children, and then mysteriously he drowns. So that sent me down the rabbit hole of, well, what happened to because they're not mentioned. These children are not mentioned again in the book. And then Wikipedia is saying that she had no children. Other websites are saying that she did have 2 children, and then another site is saying that when she died, the 2 children wouldn't claim her, but I can't find what happened to these children, if she did have children. I don't know. All I know is she probably didn't have them, so she left them with someone else. Yeah, so he ends up deaded, and she goes to, I presume on his fortune, America. She ends up going to America. Now this is the only place she ever bought a home, and she's lived in a place called Grass Valley, and she married a doctor. No, she married a man called Patrick Hall, and she also taught an American sweetheart called Lola. Can't even read my own writing. Someone Crabtree. She taught her, and even though she couldn't dance herself, and she seemed to be quite settled, but then she had an affair with the doctor, you know, because she likes to have choice. So the husband, it's a very nasty divorce apparently, divorces her. And again, was it a real marriage because of this thing in England? I don't know. Again, nothing's said about it. But this doctor ends up mysteriously dead. It's a murder, ends up as a murder investigation, but not with her. Apparently she was gnawed out of it. But so then she meets Ned Felling, and she's trying to revive her career again for this awful dance that she's not very good at. She's got no rhythm, and he's like a agent, and they decide they're going to go and do a tour, and she goes to Australia, and she's not met with great open arms or anything. She gets booed a lot, she gets hissed a lot. Some of the shows were cancelled, and she did one where she lifts her skirts up. Now remember, this is the 50s kind of thing, 1856, 55, and she lifts her skirts up to get rid of this spider, for this spider dance, the tarantula dance it's called. She got no knickers on, she got no underwear on whatsoever. Wow, that gets, a proper bad reception, and she did some mining towns kind of enjoyed her shows, but for the upper classes you don't show your hoo-ha. And on stage it was very it was classed as tacky or immoral, but I think if I went to watch a dance show and I ended up getting flashed, I don't think I'd be happy either. If I knew I was going to a strip show, then that's different. So she ends up in 1856. In July, she leaves Australia. They realise that it's a complete and utter failure, so she's going back to America. And there's an argument between her and Felling. They go. Now remember, through all of this, she carries a whip and pistol. Through all of this, she's horrible. I mean, in Australia, there was someone that did a bad review, and she whipped them in the face with this whip. You know, she was really known for her violence and her outbursts if people criticised her at all or anything. She wasn't not a nice person. And there was, they heard a scream and went running down, and when they get in the room, Felling's gone. He's fell overboard. No one knows what happened. She never says what happened, but she obviously must have got in a fight with him and pushed him overboard or something. So she ended up, once that happened though, she kind of changed personalities completely, and she started doing lectures on moral. Yeah, I don't know. She turned to religion. She was, I suppose she might have been the story of what not to do, really. I mean, I don't know how she never got killed. I mean, if you think of the day and age and what it is, I don't know how she wasn't assassinated in when she was with King Ludwig. I just don't know how she managed to get through. But she seemed to wreck her own happiness, if that makes sense. If ever she was kind of seeming settled, she kind of destroyed it herself, kind of thing. I don't know. So in some ways I felt sorry for her. I mean, and well done, you know, for being liberal, and especially in them times and stuff. But at the same time, she was not a nice person. She was a little bit wicked, I have to say. I do think she was. I don't think she was wicked in the way of bringing down a king. Wicked. Because more for him, quite frankly. But I think she just trod on anybody, didn't she? She didn't. She hurt people. She was known for being violent, and she was known for being to not upset her, and to me that makes her wicked. Because let's be honest, if you was a not very good dancer and you wasn't manipulating, and I don't know, I just didn't like her. There's some women people out there that love her, but I can't say I'm one. And well, anyway, she ends up totally disowned, because even if she had kids, the kids wouldn't claim her. No, she had, turns out, syphilis. No one knows quite where she caught the syphilis from. I don't know where it originated, but there was a lot of people it could have, let's be honest, and it was rife at them times. Maybe that explains some of her anger issues. I don't know. But even as a youngster, she was, you know, as a kid, she wasn't nice, apparently, so who knows. So she died on January the 17th, 1861. and even on her gravestone it says she was born in Limerick in 1818. So she had nothing when she passed away. So now I can understand where she's a little bit wicked, not for the king and for dethroning a king or for being a courtesan, but just because she wasn't a nice person. If she didn't get her own way, she was violent, and it's a bit of a long one, this one. So that is the story of Lola Montez. There she is. We got away with an awful lot. So let me know what you think. Do you think she's wicked? I do think she's a little bit wicked, and like I said, it was really hard to find. Some things in the book said stuff, but trying to find facts to back it up I couldn't do, and then I could find little bits of facts, but it was like, is that true or is that just rumour? It was really hard to work out what was rumour and what was truth. But I mean, she did have a massive impact in Europe over time. So there you go. So the next lady we will be discussing is Barbara Villiers. I don't know a lot about her. I'll be reading it because, like I said, I've not read this book in 20 years. I just thought it would be fascinating to. There we go, and I'll be bringing you that next week. So again, thank you so much for subscribing and liking, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to speak to you. Sorry it's a long one. Bye.